millennials starting out, tremendous. You have a tremendous advantage now over what you had. You're going to pay less taxes. You have far more incentive. You're going to have a lot more money left in your paycheck to spend, and that's part of the beauty.
Meeting America's Future, President Trump sitting down with the Generation Next Forum, which focuses on the work the Trump administration is doing for America's next wave of leaders, even highlighting the benefits of tax reform on the younger generation. Here now is Charlie Kirk, founder and executive director of Turning Point USA, who moderated the event. Charlie, what did you hear? What did you learn? What happened?
It was a terrific event. And, what I loved about it really gave the president an opportunity to speak directly to the next generation. There's been so many accomplishments that this administration has been able to move forward in regards to young people, whether it be repealing the individual mandate tax, which was part of Obamacare, which essentially is a tax on young people that can't afford health insurance, or lowering the corporate income tax, which you see the explosion of economic growth that young people are benefiting from as well. So look, it was a tremendous event. The president was able to speak directly to a room full of students, but also to the entire country of all young people that were watching this event. And it's amazing to see how our generation is now benefiting thanks to the successful policies of the Trump administration.
I know you were able to ask the president a question. We're going to play that and get your reaction on the other side. Let's listen.
What advice would you give to the 25-year-old Donald Trump, knowing what you know today?
Don't run for president.
Did he know that question was coming? That was a pretty quick joke.
It was a little bit of a curveball, but you got to love the answer. That's the kind of quick-witted humor that we love in the president. It really got to show, our audience and also the whole country, his sense of humor and his ability to think on his feet.
Let me ask you about a Pew Research Center poll, which I was actually really surprised about. They were polling millennial women, and it showed that in 2002, 36% of millennial women identified themselves as Republican. If you look to how that's changed in 2017, those same women self-identifying themselves, that has dropped considerably to 23%. What do you think that's all about?
Well, first of all, I would take exception with the poll. I don't necessarily think they're always very accurate in public sentiment. But look, it's also the same can be said on the Democrat poll. If we assume the poll is correct, less and less people are affiliated with political parties in general. But you look at what party and what administration is actually delivering results for the American people. But specifically, you look at women. I mean, the doubling of the child tax care credit that Ivanka Trump really championed during this lax tax cut overhaul. Women are succeeding under this administration. You have women unemployment going down tremendously. So I understand that our generation is becoming more and more politically independent, but the argument cannot possibly stand that women are not benefiting from this administration.
I see you on the White House lawn, and you're obviously feeling really positive about what's going on against the backdrop. We're watching the market absolutely tank today, down 724 points. One of the things driving it lower was that announcement coming out today about the White House's counsel resigning on everything that's going on with the Mueller probe. I mean, are you thinking about that? Do young people think about that? Is it in the background? What are your thoughts?
I mean, look, I think it's a bunch of nonsense. I mean, this was supposed to be about Russia collusion in our election, and that has expanded tremendously. The only Russia collusion that we know of and that we have evidence of is Hillary Clinton selling our uranium to the Russians in exchange for cash to her foundation. Look, I was part of the presidential campaign. I traveled the country with Don Jr. and Eric. I know the intricacies of really what happened. The fact and the idea that there was some sort of intergovernmental Russian collusion is ridiculous and preposterous. So, look, I think the Mueller investigation should be ended as quickly as possible. But if you let itself play out, you know what? Everyone's going to see that the people involved were innocent, especially the president.
Charlie, yesterday we were talking about how millennials think that capitalism will be gone by the time they retire so that they don't have to save for retirement. Today we're watching a huge spending bill being rolled out, and as someone with kids, I worry about the burden that spending lays on my own children. Where do you come down in between those two points of view?
Well, look, I mean, part of kind of the process of putting legislation passed is you have to be okay with things that are not always necessarily what you agree with. I hope the process of negotiation and debating is going to continue to this omnibus. There are some very positive things in there, such as the expansion of the child tax care credit and some of the things that this administration have really been pushing for. But overall, I think that we need to have a more disciplined approach to spending and the size and scope of government. This is something the president has talked about. And we have to be able to fund the wall. That's something I was kind of disappointed in, that we did not get those strong immigration administration kind of stances in this last omnibus, and the Senate still has to consider it. But look, we have to have a broader conversation about our spending and the size and scope of government, which is something the president I know cares about a lot.
When you talk to other people your age about the wall, I mean, is there pushback that's sort of a racist thing to say and to talk about? I mean, that's what we hear from a lot of young people, or do they, you know, have a different point of view?
I mean, those that are not very well informed of what the wall would actually do. Now, the wall, first and foremost, is for national security, but it's also to restore our sovereignty. But you look at the opioid epidemic, if we're able to secure our borders and actually go after drug dealers, that's going to dramatically stop the flow of drugs in this country. Look, millennials do support border security. Anyone who doesn't support border security wants a seamless and nonstop flow of illegal aliens coming into this country to eventually use them as political tools for the Democrat Party in the future. Legal immigrants support the wall, and they support border security. Those that are opposed to it are not very well informed on the topic.
Charlie, what year are you running for president?
No, I'm not running for anything.
Okay. All right. Thank you for coming on. We appreciate your time there.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. You bet. Thanks.
He probably could run for president right now, as a matter of fact. By the way, there was a kicker to what China said. I quoted the Chinese embassy earlier. The last